Hey there, Postal here. Today we're taking out the Javelin. If I could swap pilots, this would go a lot smoother. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. So what is the Javelin? This is a tier 10 heavy fighter, one of only 3 in the game. And we've got a GA on the enemy team. Not that a ground attack plane is difficult to kill for a Javelin by any means, it's just...
You're approaching the front line.
It's a GA, it's meant for taking over sectors, right? So, the good thing, I suppose, is it's nothing but garrison, so this plane can certainly do that. This is actually one of my favorite just heavy fighters in the game, and not because it's an overpowered or even a great plane, although I do think it is a great plane. It's just smooth as frickin' silk. It is fast as hell. It turns okay-ish. It's technically the best out of the box maneuverable. Okay. Wait, we've got there's another. Oh, hey, there's a HG3. Maybe I should pay attention to this shit. That'll make things a little bit more exciting. It's technically the most maneuverable out of the box. Not that really means anything because you're not playing a tier 10 heavy fighter for its maneuverability. It has some ridiculous guns, but they can also be incredibly frustrating because these guns, unlike the XF90 or like the 262 HG3, these guns are wing mounted, and as such they can be a super pain in the butt to actually kill anything that's small. So things like this FJ1, probably going to have a lot of misses. You need to aim really far out. Aim farther out than you thought you'd have to, unless they're coming directly at you. You need to be aiming decent away out, or else you're just going to miss all your shots. And I desperately need to take my own advice, because the last 2 games I've had, well, just missed all my damn shots. Alright, let's get on this guy. This plane kind of reminds me of something that I would have drawn when I was like 6 years old. Like, that's a jet plane. I did not aim far enough out. I did not live by my own mantra. It's okay, I'm 5,000 freaking feet away from this guy already. So we'll turn back around. Aiming, there we go. These guns are ridiculous as far as the damage output is concerned. So you really, like, that's the love-hate relationship with them, is, yeah, they miss a lot. Look how far out I had aimed on something that was pretty close to right in front of me. But I mean, they chunka. I've also got this plane set up finally with ultimate equipment, and I haven't upgraded any of my maximized or calibrated anything. What I have done, I have reassembled the guns as far as the sight, gyroscopic sight is concerned, and as far as the gas-operated action is concerned, to basically have this as these guns don't overheat nearly as much as they will out of the box. I'm still doing the tappity tap, but there's definitely a lot of times where I can just kind of hold them down and enjoy not having to worry about my guns overheating. So we're going to dive way up here because there's a multi-roll of some sort below us. And
Air supremacy
alright,
achieved.
air supremacy, what the frigadig? I'm yabbering over here about these guns, and we're just taking over sector. I'm sure my GA, or the SU-10 on the team is probably doing a lot of that work, but I suppose we're probably doing some of that too. Alright, let's move in here. Aim further out. Thank you. On us. Oh, it's our friend in the HG3, but he's not paying too much attention to us. We're get our boost on. Going a straight line is very helpful for us. Oof, knocked out his engine, so we actually need to slow down a little bit. And there we go. See, key 162s are like the worst thing to try to hit in this plane, so let's go try to hit it and I'll show you what I mean. Probably contradict myself. But because they're so small and so like wily, these guns, you can see the spread that they put, I might get a hit, but I invariably leave them on like, you know, a handful of hit points.
Way to go.
And just keep on moving on. Let's go capture a frickin' sector, I suppose. Okay, well that was good job, just my presence alone. I'm gonna go kill a bomber, so I guess we're gonna go this way. Oh, game over, man, game over. You can see what this plane can do. It's really honestly all about getting these ridiculous cannons on target. Because they just melt the opposition. That's a pretty darn quick game, right? Got ourselves a McCampbell, good on us. 6-minute game. Never felt out of control in that particular battle. Didn't really give the enemy the opportunity to be in any kind of control. Let's head back. So we were able to get 11 kills out of that. 14,000 personal points. A big old chunk of damage to air targets, but I've had significantly higher in this plane. Simply because you can, in this plane, you can just be that a-hole that kills every single bomber in the game. If you really want to, I could do nothing but go after the Ju-287s on the enemy team and the ground attack planes and just go for that high damage. If it was a closer match, obviously, we would have had a lot more air damage as well. These guns are really, really good at just that. Like, when you force this plane to have to do something that it's not meant to do, and I guess this goes for any plane in the game, then you're going to struggle. When you're in situations where you've got to take out enemy fighters, you're going to struggle. This plane, it doesn't matter the enemy fighter. It could be a MiG, it could be a Swift, it could be the Key that I was talking about, it could be 1101. I could name them all off, right? Postal's got the ability to name them all off. What? So my point is, if you're forced to go after those planes, you're going to struggle more just because then you're relying on RNG. No matter how much you soup up your equipment, you're relying on RNG to win the game for you. When you put this plane in the position to attack the bombers, the GAs, the heavy fighters on the enemy team, then you're going to do well there. I don't believe this guy had a bad game. What happens when you run into, and anybody that's flown tier 10 heavy fighters, hell for that matter, lower tier heavy fighters, whoever gets the first, whoever gets the jump on the other one is going to win. There's not a huge difference in airspeed, maneuverability, altitude performance on these three planes. The HG3 and the XF90 being the other two. Yeah, there's differences. I'm not going to argue that. But the differences are negligible. I've souped up my HG3 to be like stupid airspeed. I was just kind of messing around with it. But again, the maneuverability is less, but it's not like so much less that it's ridiculous. Same with the XF90. Yeah, the maneuverability is less, and I haven't specialized my XF90, so please forgive me. The differences aren't so much that if you get caught out that you can do anything about it. So it's really whoever gets first behind the other heavy fighter is the one that's going to win that engagement, typically 9 times out of 10, probably 95 out of 100 times. I just happened to get behind him, and he didn't notice me. I've been on the other end of that plenty of times, whether it's been in this plane or any of the other heavy fighters at tier 10, where you're the one that gets caught out because you weren't paying attention to the map, or you thought the enemy heavy plane wasn't paying attention, or you thought he was in a slightly different position. So I just happened to catch him out and took advantage of that. Doesn't mean that that particular pilot was being a bad pilot or anything like that. So what I did speak to in the equipment, I did go to Ultimate Equipment here. And what I did on my gyroscopic sight, you can see I put, was able to upgrade the bonus characteristics, got the accuracy when firing at moving targets, because God knows you need that help with these 30mm cannons. And I also got the chance of inflicting critical damage. I forget what the bonus characteristics were beforehand, but they weren't very helpful. And then I re-rolled for the bonus characteristics on this, and I did I was able to upgrade the cooldown rate, got that 10% extra cooldown rate, and upgraded the rate of fire by that 2.5%. So these gas-operated action on the 30mm Aidens, not only does it have the rate of fire already up to 10.3, but it also has the additional bonuses there. So yeah, the accuracy is nerfed because of the firing rate, but that's why I've got the gyroscopic sight on here. So basically, it's got the little bit better accuracy than what you start off with, but a hell of a lot better rate of fire. And with the guns being on the wings like they are, as you can see, they're really wide out. I'm just tossing as much 30mm crap as I can, and the more I can toss out, the more you can kind of counteract RNG, or utilize RNG to your benefit, I guess I could say. I can see the gun armament's up to 89 here, just with all the bonus characteristics that have been thrown its way. I really like the range of these guns. The cumulative damage is freaking 1500 basically on this plane. And so I've maximized the guns on this plane more than I have on either of my other two planes. Not to say that I'm not going to on these other two planes. I think my next goal is to get the XF90 specialized, which will only take me a handful of games, well, more than a handful of games. 14 sectors captured. Should be probably 3 games or so, maybe 4. We'll see. And then we'll see exactly what I do to get this thing maximized out. Any suggestions on that, I'll certainly take. I kind of like the Swift. The XF90, I first got it and I hated it. I really, really hated it. Hated the Swift. Like the first two tier 10 planes I got in this game. Absolutely hated with all of the passion, and it was because I'm playing them wrong. Is what it came down to. Obviously, XF90 is probably the most popular tier 10 heavy plane in the game, and I can completely understand why. The Swift definitely isn't the most popular tier 10 fighter in the game, but it's still a lot better than I gave it credit for when I first got it. So, yeah, since I don't play this plane all that often, I'll take any suggestions anybody gives me when it comes to the equipment layout, consumables layout, things I need to roll for, and all that jazz. But otherwise, I really like the Javelin. I honestly, truly, this, if I'm going to play a tier 10 heavy, like you're going to force me to play a tier 10 heavy, this is the one I'm going to go with every time because of what these guns can do, because of, what the airspeed allows me to do. Granted, again, the airspeed lets me do that in any of the tier 10 heavies, but I just feel so fluid with this plane. And I just really do, truly do enjoy it. Because it has more hit points than, and we'll do one more thing, I know I'm rambling on a little bit here, but you guys should be used to that. Because it has more hit points than any of the other tier 10 heavies, we've got 1145, and that's even with the reduction on it. This one has only 700 hit points. The XF90 has only 700 hit points. So the additional, it starts off with basically 500 more hit points, and I've got it reduced, that you start off with the Javelin makes it so good at going after things like EF-131s, like things like SU-10s, like those specialized JU-187s, whatever they are at tier 9. Those OP, over-specialized tier 9 and tier 10 bombers that can be such a pain in the ass for any plane because their rear gunners are basically overpowered. The Javelin, very rarely, I'll say this, very rarely am I afraid of an enemy specialized bomber. In fact, the only ones that really cause me any kind of issues are like TU-12s, believe it or not, because they have such odd maneuverability that it can cause issues with me getting my guns on target. EF-131s, no, not a big deal. They really aren't. Su-10s can be, again, just because of the maneuverability, but this plane has such a large amount of hit points that as long as I'm not on low hit points, or even at halfway hit points, I will be fine. Think about it, halfway hit points, and I'm still at basically almost 600 hit points. I'm almost to the same amount of hit points that the other two tier 10 heavies have. So yeah, this I really do like running into enemies in their bombers, and to a lesser extent the GAs. GAs tend to go a little bit too slow. You tend to fly past them before you can kill them in one pass. But I LOL when I get an enemy bomber on the enemy team, and I laugh. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I need to get some coffee because I'm trying to keep myself up by rambling, and that's no good for anybody, much less you fine folk that are watching this video. But thank you for joining me, and I will definitely catch you out on the battlefield, and I'll see you later. Bye.